Let me know if people can hear me. Let me know, guys, if you can hear my voice. Hopefully audio is coming through. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Check 1 2. Okay, cool. Great. Someone says they can hear, so that's great. Yeah, I'm seeing all your comments of no audio, no audio. It's sorry about that. This is definitely a first test as far as going live, but the purpose of this video is just to kind of make a quick object and gravity sketch using just some references of a object that I had in my house, and I saw my hairdryer, and I was like, let's just do that. So cool. All right. Well, I'm just gonna keep chugging away here, and I'll check periodically in the comments. And I'll check around and see what you guys are saying. But let's just go ahead and finish up these lines here. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of marking out the sort of the main geometric sort of like surface changes in the object. So there's definitely going to be some part lines here. And I'll show you guys a cool trick on getting part lines in an actual mesh. So not part lines like using a stroke, but actually part lines in the actual surfacing. So we'll get to that. That's not really where I want to be. Okay, these lines are too thick, I can't see. So I want to get those a little thin. If you're wondering how I'm doing that, just left and right on the trigger, or left and right on the joystick allows you to put a different thickness on the line. And actually, we have a new feature now too, where you can actually add weight to these points. So I could technically delete some of these points here, and actually use the weight of the point by going up and down on the joystick. So now I don't have to add a bunch of points. I can just have one point. So see, I want this to be a little tighter, so I can add a little bit of weight to it. Very useful feature. All right, so that's kind of roughly where we want it to be. Now, obviously, this is a three-dimensional object, so we need to start making this 3D. So let's just go ahead and, right off the bat, use the revolve tool. And we're going to snap it to the roughly center there. We'll just make a little ring to indicate the head there. I'm going to make some more rings right here. Put that up there. And then put another ring here. Here, these will just be references, obviously. Yeah. Okay. One more here at the back. Kind of one here where it starts to curve, starts to come down. I think that would be pretty good. Yeah. Doing this. There we go. Yeah, all right. Okay. let's just check some comments here real quick and see what we're Yeah, so somebody's got saying something about co-op or co-creation on Quest, and that will definitely be on there um, as well on the Quest, which will be great. You know, because the Quest is tetherless, and so game changer for working in 3D. You know, intuitively. I mean, we all know. I mean, it's designing in VR is very intuitive. The 3D spaces. So yeah, definitely will be on Quest as well for co-creation. So let's get some dimensionality to the handle here. See if I can maybe get it with a few circles. May or may not be the best way, but it's kind of a pretty basic loft going on here. Yeah, and then kind of guess this one here at the bottom. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're just gonna start building these surfaces. So, and I'll show you guys a really cool trick for doing sort of part lines, everything in the surfacing. So let's get out of this tool. Let's go into our surface tool. We're going to go to straight to subdivision surface, and this will automatically create subdivision. So let's just do dark. Let's do that. We'll just look good. Maybe we should go with something that's like really contrast to blue, something maybe like red side of thing. Then we can color it, a different color later. That's what we'll do. Anyway, so we should probably have mirror turned on. That'll help. Have mirror turned on, and so as we build this thing, we'll just be able to do it. Okay. Don't want really too much geometry starting out. It's definitely a good rule of thumb when you're building with SubD and when you're building things in 3D that you want to start really, really simple. You don't want to get too complicated in your geometry, and especially in when you're doing SubD or polymodeling or something. It's very good to stay basic and stay simple from the beginning, because you'll find things very easily get very complicated and get a little hairy, depending on if you got lots of little details. So you always want to start simple. And I find that polymodeling is very similar to kind of like almost like puzzles, kind of like solving little micro moments in geometry, and it's kind of fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy the problem solving aspect. I might need to add some more geometry at some point, but it's okay. We're just chugging along here. Let's get some. This lighting is. I want to do. Yeah, let's so we can see a little bit better sort of what's going on with the surfaces here. So moving right along here. Yeah, and so what we can do is we can go to auto select loops, this option here, and so we can select this whole row and actually extrude it out, so we don't have to individually go through, you know, every line, sorry, every edge. Don't want that. So I just want to extrude that one. It's a little tricky. You know, takes some finagling. Kind of get the right shapes. I really like this this hairdryer just because the handle is it's so organic. It's very natural looking, and I thought that would be really fun to do in Subdi. So we're just going to continue along here, and it seems like this kind of tightens up a little more up in this area. Actually, probably move this point down here. We don't have to have all of that yet. There we go. It's starting to look more like the shape we're going for here. So we want this to transition into this cylindrical shape here at the top. And so the question is how we do that. So it's starting to take shape here. Why don't we just go ahead and complete this, and then we can really sort of fine-tune how these surfaces look. It'd be worth putting another loop in here, making this transition a little more controlled, a little more natural. Good way to tell if if you're getting good sort of curve on your sort of your topology here is so if you want everything to be kind of more circular, make sure that all the points are going out from each other in some way. Like the way you can tell is if this one's kind of kinked in just slightly. If this goes back and it goes in like a Z, that's how you can tell your curvature is not quite going in a rounded fashion. So it's a good way to check. It's a good way to check things. So I know that we've got kind of a transition back here. So see if we can reference that a little bit. Still got that selected. Starting to look like a hairdryer. So, all right, let's check comments, see what everybody's saying here. Let's see. Sub-D modifier. Let's see some comments about sub-D modifier there. Yeah, it's a good question. Have to talk to the development team on that. I'm sure there's discussion about that. We pay very, very close attention to what people are wanting, and I would not be surprised if that is in discussion. But I cannot confirm. So let's do a little bit of organization here for a minute. So we've got this other layer. Right now my surfaces and my sketchers are in the same layer. So let's call this surface. And we're just going to go and grab the surface and put it in there. And then, sorry, we're going to call that sketch. And we're going to call this one surface. We're going to put the surface on that one. And so we can turn off the sketch and see just the surfacing and see how everything's looking from the surfacing perspective. Looks like it's, you know, it looks like it's really taking the shape that we want. You know, we're trying to get this taper. You know, when you really start to appreciate surfacing in design when you get into, you know, modeling this like this, because you can see all of the little changes, you know, that can really make, you know, take a product, take something from looking, you know, kind of cheap and blobby to something that's really nice and premium. And so let's check the reference here a little bit. Actually, we don't really need to check the because we drew some sketches. So let's make sure this bottom is matching up. Yeah, okay. So we sort of want this smaller circle. Yeah. It's a little too far forward, so we're just going to bring that back. All these little minor changes. Yeah, now it's really starting to... Okay, so something we can do here. So we've got, in the sketch, we have part part lines. But may not be time for that yet. But let's just check. So we've got that. And let's just turn off the surface. Yeah, so we've got that part line that goes all the way down. And you can see here, it goes all the way down the side of the hairdryer. And so it's really nice for us because if we do it right, we can draw that part line and we can actually make a real part line in the surface. So let's take our sketch. Let's just sort of tweak this just a little bit here for a second. Yeah, let's extrude this out. Do this. I'll just leave it there like that for a minute. But let's turn on our sketch. And we've got a line down the middle to indicate where that part line goes. And so all we got to do is just move these points so that they are moving along the curvature of our model. So we're just moving them. Simple as that, just positioning them so that they represent, they follow contours. So let's get rid of very good. So I can get rid of that ring because I'm pretty confident of that radius being pretty accurate. So what we can do with this part line, ooh, we gotta mirror that. So mirror that. And then we can't mirror it. Sketch. Well, we're just going to follow, so we're going to follow this line here. Okay, so we got this line. So I'm going to show you how you can make a part line in the surface. You can do this in other programs like Blender and Maya. It's kind of a trick. It works in here as well. It's just using the knife tool. And essentially what we're going to do is we are going to use the knife tool to cut two paths. And it's especially great if everything is in quads. So we're going to get the knife tool here. And actually, we don't really, actually I don't know if we need the knife tool because we should be able to, because everything's quads, we should be able to just do this right with this, right by inserting a row. So if we insert 2 loops, like I just did, then what you can do is you can delete the faces in between the 2 rows. You don't move any of the lines around, you just grab all of the associated faces. I kind of did it the quick and dirty way, but you can be really precise where you draw them very close together with the knife tool. You could draw them really close together, and you can get a very good part line. And we would use the crease tool in that. Fun little fact here. So let's here's another trick here. If you want the edges of your sub-D mesh to be right angle sharp, you can crease the 2 corners, and the sub-D mesh will be pointed and won't be rounded off like this. But we actually won't need to do that in this case because we'll be adding some more geometry, and that will not be necessary. And so the cool thing about doing what I just did with the part line is that you get a part line that follows your geometry perfectly. I had to adjust a little bit because I kind of did it the quick way, but you can draw the knife tool in the path that you want it to be, and then just draw 2 paths and then delete the faces in between. It'll look kind of messy at first when you draw the 2 lines, but then it'll look good after a minute. Those snapped together, which we don't want that. Yeah, okay, that's good. Make sure we get a little bit smoother curvature going on here. That's pretty good. So we've got that. And so what we can do now to get this part line is this. Now, watch very closely. So remember this auto select loops? We can select this auto select loops, and this will select the entire loop on this one side of the part line. And what we can do is, what I usually do is I'll use the axis snap or axis line tool or function, and I will double click a row here. So we've got this really tight angle going on here. And what we can do is we can shrink, so see how we can expand out. So I'm using the left and right of the joystick, and I can shrink this down. And so on the inside, you see that we've got this shrunken surface, and then we can edit it. Now see here, it's kind of done a wacky thing. So we'll want to pull those surfaces inward. It's actually somewhere. So maybe we'll do that over again. It might actually be better to do it this way. Yeah. So we'll just pull it in. You won't really shrink it a whole lot. With these convex surfaces, it can get a little complicated. So that's good. Yeah, I think going from the side in this particular case is the best way to go. And so now we've got that. So what we're doing with that is it's kind of creating a fillet. And so do the same thing with the other side. And so now we have essentially a part line. And see, we didn't have to really sharpen up these edges because that extra geometry sharpened up these points down here. So we can get them really close together and get it to where it looks pretty realistic. So that's how you can get like a part line. This is definitely the sort of the quick way, but if you spend more time, you can get it looking really nice. I'm working on another project right now of creating a vehicle this way with part lines, and the results are very good. And it's very, very quick using Gravity Sketch. So why don't we add just a little more dimensionality to the hand grip here. Make this a little more flow, a little better. So this is really coming along. Spacing could be a little more consistent, but between these part lines, so I'm just kind of doing that. Sometimes you got to get in really close. Nice. Make sure the surfaces are it's really coming together. So let's check some comments. Kind of getting lost in the model here. right, so let's just keep chugging away here at the model. Get this thing created. I'm just going to do the same thing with the back. Just going to delete these faces. And then I'll do a little fillet. Actually, in this case, since it's a circle, we actually could do the shrink technique here. As we see there. So we got that. So we'll space these out a little bit better so that it's more a round shape, not round. Cool. So what else do we have on the model here? Front. Sort of bent in. Okay, we can do that really quickly. Okay, so that's the front. Where the air comes out. And now now we got to make the button area. So let's see, there's sort of the speed adjustments, and yeah. So we're going to use the sketches for this. So we drew in the beginning the sketches. So we're just going to align this with the geometry like we did before, the part line. Of course, intersects there, so I may have to just redesign this just a little bit because our original part line is kind of intersecting with design here, so we'll just, no big deal, we'll redesign. I mean, this is design, you know. Okay. So this will be a great example on showing how to make a part line with the knife tool, and how that works. So let's just kind of look at this reference one more time. It's just kind of like a big, kind of elongated bean shape on this hairdryer here. So we can kind of bring this in a little more, I think. I think that's good. I think that's what we want. So you're going to turn off the reference, and to do the knife tool, the light under there, we're going to follow this path with the knife tool. And I'm going to use that there. Actually, yeah. Cut. This may not work perfectly, but we're going to try. So we got a path here, and then we're going to make another cut along this path. And so if we delete these faces, theoretically should follow the rough path that we drew for the part line. And it kind of did. So some crazy stuff going on here. Might have to rebuild that a little bit, but because it is a 5-edge surface, but we can solve that. There we go. So it's kind of following path we drew. So we want this to be a little closer together. Let's see comments. Okay. Just keep moving. Okay, cut here. It's probably not the cleanest solution, but it's just to get the point across. This is real time, so but let's just move along with getting the part lines. Get some fillets on these part lines. So Let's turn sketch off. Kind of messy. But this kind of fixes it there. So you got that. And then let's create the knobs. Okay, we're just gonna put in some bits for the there. Turn grid off. Some thickness. And then I'm going to just create another subdivision surface here. We can kind of have a, if you've seen this environment yet, we can do gradients. You can control the sort of the coloring of your environment. Should want that to be this way. Yeah, so there we go. It's just a quick tutorial on doing a hand dryer. So we've got some part lines here. There's definitely, if you spend a little more time doing these part lines, they can be really nice and clean. Like I said, I'm working on a project on doing a vehicle using this method of part lines. It's just really what's kind of making this a little wonky is just the topology, but that's something that just has to do with time, spending time and tweaking it, fixing it. But yeah, let's just use some different lighting scenarios. Let's look at the comments. Let's see. Yeah, thanks everybody that joined and watched this video. Really appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something. Now that I know how to do this streaming bit, there was a bit of technical difficulties, but it should be a smoother start next time. Somebody said, did I use ribbons and lines to start this? Yes. So I originally used some sketches, so I'll just turn that layer on. You can see them here kind of underneath the model. I used these sketch lines to inform the shape of the hairdryer. And I just used the revolve tool to help me get some perfect circles. And then the rest of it was just sub-D modeling. And then I also used reference images here to understand some of the surfacing and the overall shape of the hairdryer. And yeah, let's see here. See, I'm just looking through the comments. A lot of talking to each other, which is great. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody again for joining. Really appreciate. Oh, I see a recent question here. Oh, you're asking about character creator. Yeah, I was just experimenting with that. I like to do all kinds of stuff in 3D. I was working on some sort of personal projects, using some characters that involved rigging some characters and like putting clothes on them and stuff. And so that's what I was using Character Creator for. Honestly, that was a free trial. It's probably already up by now. But yeah, so yeah, just for personal projects and experimentation. But anyway, I'm glad I could show this to you guys. I hope you guys learned something. I definitely think it'd be great to do more of these lives. If there's some subjects or some stuff you want us to talk about or cover, you know, message us on Discord or you know, direct message us on Instagram. We'd be happy to look at your suggestions. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining, and I will see you next time.